So we're done with Dargonus. I don't know if we actually need to go chase down the Tithe. I'm suspecting not. We need to get up to Kiava Gamma. Or to Vivo 6, rather. Because we've got a thing to deal with. Did you get a new auger scanner? I did not. Slander requires the Lord Captain's decision. There are rumors in the colony that the rogue trader... I mean, maybe I did. I'd have to go check. There are rumors in the colony the rogue trader has given in to the archenemy's corruption, personally killed Lady Theodora, and usurped the throne by force. Start a punitive raid, lowers complacency by 2. We can gain complacency by proving your piety by donating substantial resources to the ecclesiarchy, or request help from followers of St. Drusus because we have enough reputation. We'll just request help from the followers of St. Drusus. The Drusian services and sermons have dispelled the veil of idle heresy and slander. Well, that was nice and simple. So why can we not do any of these? Reputation with the Void we don't have. We need Xenos Intoxicant somewhere. And reputation with the Drusians is still not enough for that one. I should probably figure out where the Drusians are and get their reputation up higher. But that's fine. So if we go to our quest log at this point, still don't know what to do with that. But right, we're supposed to go meet the Inquisitor finally on Footfall. And yes, I have a crazy amount of contracts and rumors. I guess I don't have that many contracts, actually. There were a bunch that I was choosing not to do because they feel bad. And I'm assuming most of these probably fit that. Yeah, let's go to Footfall. Check our contracts. So, Unquenchable Greed. The Rogue Trader has been contacted by a high-ranking administrative official who previously helped with reclaiming the relics of St. Cognatius from House Corda. He enjoyed the generous bribes and would like some more. In exchange for the riches requested, he promises that an error will creep into the Administratum's calculations so that all provisions from the agri-world of Mercus Alpha will be shipped to Dargonus instead of the Navy's orbital fortress of Dragonus II. Yeah. Intentionally taking resources from the Navy just to boost the greed of some random high-ranking administratum? No. Captain who calls himself the Master Inspector is in the market for human merchandise. This peculiar character has repeatedly shown up on Footfall to buy serfs, criminals, and unfortunates detained for vagrancy. Where he takes them is unknown, but his coffers seem bottomless. So give up people just for some money. I mean, if it's various criminals and unfortunates, maybe. Oh, quick check to see if any of them boost Drusians. That's fair. Adamantine, Xenotech, Plasteel, Provisions. This one doesn't give me anything. The Rogue Trader has turned the sublime minds of the Magi Explorators. May they employ the blessed machines of the Adeptus Mechanicus to melt the centuries-old layer of ice encasing lost and forgotten Imperial world. What would be an unbearable burden for a commoner is just another task for a servant of the Omnissiah. The Explorators offer prayers to the machine spirits as they prepare for the unorthodox planetary scale mission. We take phlogiston, which we don't have a ton of, promethium, which we have plenty, and chemicals, which we have plenty. Some. No obvious profit. Seems like a multi-part. That's what I'm thinking. Let's start it. see where that ends up going. But no, there was nothing there directly to raise our Drusian reputation. I think if we go to Footfall, we can find Koronus. And colony at Dargonus has begun a new stage of development. Well, we are at Dargonus. Is that something I'm supposed to interact with? Not my ship. Speaking of ships, did I get a new Auspex? No. So there's no new parts here. That was what I was checking. So if we go to Colony, did Dargonus... Yes, Dargonus has reached a new thing. Terrible news from Dargonus, your lordship. Your vigilant servants have discovered an absence of treachery on an abscess of treachery on our capital world. One that has grown far too large and could rupture at any moment. The informants report that the group known as the Foreman Clan is actually a cover for a horrendous cult of genetic aberrations, who currently have their people in every echelon of the hive. They are traitors to the purity of humanity, traitors to the creed, rebels and heretics. Apparently, their unholy sermons speak of the three sorrowful phalanges of a finger pointing the way to retribution and unity. What exactly did my people find out? One tenacious clerk from the Administratum questioned the authenticity of the reports coming from the ruins of Scipion 84-249. He personally observed the debris removal and entered the lower levels of the fallen hive. There, he discovered signs that prove Scipion had been infected by the gene plague. Thousands of corpses and the extra-armed abominations have been buried in a mass grave. He also found the remains of Achilles Scalander's people. It seems that they had noticed signs of corruption, and the traitors, aiming to cover up their crimes, buried their misdeeds under the ruins of the hive. On their way back, the clerk transport was destroyed, but he miraculously managed to survive. Now the heretics think that they have covered their tracks once more, and so they continue their plots, oblivious and unprepared for our attack. So he said they have the gene plague, whatever he called it. Yeah, the gene plague. So are these Genestealers, Tyranids? Because we've been wondering where the final remnants of the Genestealers are. And if it's this, then great. What is this mutant plague that has affected our capital? A horrendous distortion of the human form. It seems that they spread their poison by biting and enslaving their victims. Some of them are indistinguishable from normal humans, while others are disgustingly ugly. The heretics hide them away from prying eyes. They seem to be connected by a common consciousness, and are absolutely loyal to the despicable cult. The astropathic choirmaster of Dargonus has suggested that the cult may be behind the extermination of the psykers on the planet. He can sense the ghost of a powerful consciousness of some sort. Yeah, they're Genestealers. The astropaths who we have forced to serve on Dargonus are afraid. They do not wish to become a living shield if their enemy launches another psychic assault at us. I fear that this line in our defense is quite fragile. Do those abominations look like the ones on my ship, the same cursed brood? I'm afraid so, your lordship. The descriptions from Dargonus are quite similar to what we have witnessed ourselves. The same deformities, the same underhanded tactics. Either they are kin to our aberrations, or they are another branch stemming from the same foul root. The Foreman clan is a cover for this disgusting cult? Indeed. They probably began by recruiting workers. It is easy to blend in with the laboring riffraff. Posing as a union of technomats, they were able to conceal their secret operations and infiltration into the upper echelons of power. Each new crisis allowed them to gain more of our trust and resources. And most despicable of all is that they have perverted our faith. They revere the God Emperor in the form of a four-armed monstrosity. Their prayers are full of hatred towards those in power, and promises of a reckoning when their dreadful deity will come and equate them with their oppressors, with us, that is. Many fools and troublemakers have fallen for their lies. Living in the secluded labor settlements of the ruined Scipion, they could act with impunity, but at least it prevented them from infecting the hives as severely as they could have done. The suppression of the minor cults dealt them a harsh blow by bringing the flock back into the fold of obedience. We have reduced their number of potential new recruits. We're gonna ask Heinrichs, even though we know. Heinrichs, what are these mutants? They're called Genestealers, and they are not simple mutants. They are xenos plague that breeds inside the human brain, forever distorting their genetic makeup and enslaving them to the brood. This is much more threatening than the Drukhari fleet that ravaged the capital earlier. If they are on Dargonus, then they will try to overtake the entire planet sooner or later. The messengers of the Great Devourer. My kin can sense the shapeshifters, but you should stay vigilant, Elentok. For a species as psychically weak as the Monkey, their arrival may spell death. What forces do they have at their disposal? The heretics mostly consist of workers, but some have infiltrated the guard as well. Their weapons are primarily made from repurposed industrial machinery. The cultists are fearless and will readily sacrifice themselves for the sake of their common goal. But the worst part is their psychic threat. We cannot even begin to gauge it. We fear that the tribes of the engine vandals will support them as well, partially influenced by the plague and partially lured by the promise of a good raid. We have to act. Absolutely right. It is impossible to negotiate with the degenerates. Our only option is to completely annihilate them. We should start from the top. Should we attack decisively and quickly, or should we show our hand by bringing assault vehicles into the capital and gain an advantage in firepower? Do we quietly eliminate their leaders, or do we rain destruction upon the infected territories and cleanse them of traitors? Ignatius, raise the people to battle and publicly proclaim war. Tell the people that the heretics are hiding among them, and the millions of loyal subjects will grind the thousands of traitors to dust. May Dargonus cleanse itself of this filth. Yeah, but how do you tell, when they look just like us, how do you tell who is a heretic and who is not? Because just telling everyone to kill their neighbors is probably not a wise call. The cleansing should be thorough. A few wrecks of dead ships still linger in orbit after the day the xenos scum attacked your world. Command your fleet to pick them up and send them plummeting toward the nests of this spawn, trying to encroach on your domain. Just launch derelict ships at that hive. I kind of like that idea. It's terrible. Like, at least Argenta isn't dooming the entire hive, which originally Scipion, from what I recall, this whole chain of quests, Scipion burned down or was destroyed in some manner, and so we were slowly rebuilding it back up to be a profitable hive again. And here it's just like, nope, it's being rebuilt, but with Tyranids inside it, just burn it to the ground again. Crash ships into it, destroy it from orbit. Since all of them are linked by a common will, we could start by launching our attacks there. If the Astropathic Choir could drown out the voice of the brood, we would be able to launch a sudden strike and act quickly enough before the enemy could restore cohesion and alert their forces to the assault. That doesn't seem bad either. Argenta's right. We will announce to the people that we have an enemy in our midst. They should come to the aid of the enforcers, who will be attacking in full force. Heinrichs, prepare a plan for a psychic attack. After that, we shall launch a surprise attack on the cult's headquarters. We'll make this quick and quiet. You should get rid of the leaders first, or I like Ulfar's plan. We shall do as the Emperor's Angel said. Let us crush the infected sectors from orbit. We'll let Heinrichs do his thing. I think it's a sensible choice. Also, being part of the Inquisition Order of Xenos, he probably has the best idea of how to take out a Genestealer nest that's starting to build up. Granted, a Space Marine would also know how to deal with Genestealers, but I think his is a bit more destructive than necessary, as fun as it would be. So Heinrichs, do your thing. I will send the Inquisition's directives developed specifically for this scenario to Dargonus. At the appointed time, the enforcers started their simultaneous raids in all the hives of the capital, relying on stealth and surprise. They did not use heavy weapons of war. At the same time, the Astropathic Choir launched a truly devastating attack on the grim psychic shadow hanging above the hives of Dargonus. This attack stunned the brood of heretics and temporarily cut off their psychic communication. But the heretics did not go down without a fight. Soon, an enraged outcry of psychic energy from the brood swept through the hives, plunging the dynasty's brave warriors into horror and bloody insanity. The Astropathic Choir managed to drown it out with their menacing chants, but this was a test of will, and only the most disciplined and steadfast psykers withstood its sheer force. The element of surprise facilitated the swift extermination of the cult's leaders, leading the rest of the heretics to lose heart. The filthy shrines of the heretics were set ablaze. Only one thing filled the rogue trader's servants with unease. Inside the cult's main temple, they found a den of some grotesque, enormous monster. It was empty. They did not find the beast. If the Emperor had been merciful to Dargonus, the monster would surely have perished in the fires that had engulfed the hives during that cycle. We found a tainted phylactery. The wielder gains 21% critical hit chance against xenos. Okay. And we finally finished the quest for finding the Genestealers, which was started as a Chapter 2 quest. And that's the finishing of the Scholar Progenium. So I think we're basically done with improvements to Dargonus. Alright, onward to Footfall. Lord Captain, I've made an important discovery. When you destroyed the creature the mutants called the Sire, I felt it was my duty to investigate how the abomination had found its way onto our ship. Digging through old inventories and archives of trade transactions, I latched onto a single name, Finger of Sorrow. More than 2 centuries ago, the drifting hulk of this vessel was discovered by Lady Theodora's predecessor. It was a lost merchant ship with a hold full of cargo. I was reminded of the 3 sorrowful phalanges mentioned by the twisted creatures. I dare theorize that this image harkens back to the name of the ship woven into the heretics' beliefs. A third of the goods taken from the Finger of Sorrow were sold to the Drusian mission on Footfall for the needs of a colonization arc, the Wasteland Wayfarer, bound for the world of Jesevon. A third was taken to Hive Scipion 84-249 on Dargonus, where a mutiny broke out later, and the final third was left on the flagship. Surely you can see where I'm going with this. Centuries later, a cult of mutants emerged in every single location the shipments were delivered to. Where did this Finger of Sorrow come from? It arrived in the Expanse, from somewhere in the Calixtus sector. More precise information may be contained in the dead vessel's log, but I do not have it in my possession. What do you think these 3 sorrowful phalanges represent? I assume they symbolize the 3 branches of the cult, the Nourishers, the Ravenous Star, and the unnamed cult from Scipion. At least, I pray to the Emperor that there are only 3. Are you telling me that the Von Valencia's dynasty has been transporting genetic aberrations across the Expanse? Purely out of ignorance. The creatures probably lurked in the cargo, and no one discovered them. Or perhaps, we know those things can take over our minds. They could have dominated anyone who stumbled upon their nest. I wish to locate the wreck and investigate it. The coordinates have already been entered into the logbook, your lordship. Okay, so we aren't actually done with that quest. It's Chapter 2 quest. If the theory is correct, the rogue trader will find evidence inside the drifting remains of the merchant ship Finger of Sorrow in Omicron. Wherever Omicron is. Usually there's a quest marker you can see at the edge of the screen that's telling you where quests are. I don't see anything, but I could be just missing it. I'm not seeing anything called Omicron. So possibly it's something we find later? There's Omicron. Which is where the Eye of the Magnetic Storm is. Well, let's head that way before we head down to Furibundus. The Inquisitor kept me waiting for a while. I can keep him waiting a bit longer. Okay, Vat turned to blood, that's fine. Mysterious sickness struck the clan living in the macro cannon chambers. Disease quickly spread. Flooded the chamber with carbon monoxide. Brilliant. It was an interesting quest chain. They did a really good job with the writing. Yeah. I've been pretty happy with the writing in general for the whole game. There's very little that I think feels, poorly done in some way. So yeah, Finger of Sorrow is there. While we're here, let's check out Savannah World, see if we can finally do that magnetic scan. The chances are the answer is no. And we can't. Whatever we're needing to be able to see through the eye of the magnetic storm, still can't. The hulk of a merchant ship drifts through the void like a gutted corpse. The hull is riddled with gouges from macro cannon fire. The soot-covered letters on the side spell out a somber name, Finger of Sorrow. Let's use our augers to examine the ship. The ship is devoid of vital signs. Life support systems have long since failed. Cold darkness and silence fill the wreck of the Finger of Sorrow. Some scripting, unfortunate interpretations, etc., but good writing. Yeah, there's been a few oddities. Yeah. Definitely been a fun game. Owlcat always knocks it out of the park. I've been super impressed, particularly for how new of a company they are, and I think they're relatively small, all things considered. Let's dispatch an expedition. A squad of enforcers and tech priests put on their void suits and dock with the ship. The vessel is empty except for the frozen and desiccated corpses of the crew. Some retain human features, but others are easily recognizable as genetic aberrations. They've been dead for centuries. Let's examine the logbook on the bridge. The Finger of Sorrow was a common merchant vessel. The log records its travels along many of the trade routes from the Calixtus sector. The last entry states that the ship departed from Port Wander on the border between the Koronus Expanse and the Calixtus sector. Tech Priest notes that the protocols for undocking from the station were not followed, indicating either a hasty escape or blatant disregards for the covenant of the Omnissiah. Let's search the hold. The hold is empty, apart from a few open containers. However, careful examination points to 3 opened service hatches that bear claw marks. Venturing deeper into the service tunnels, the enforcers find 3 empty nests with chunks of purple chitin and dried traces of dark slime that is eaten through the metal panels. There can be no doubt the Genestealers once lurked here. Inspect the cabins. Many of the cabins have become tombs for the bodies of the crew. They asphyxiated when the ship's life support systems failed. One of the enforcers notices a cache marked with the symbols of a fanged serpent with a sharp tail and 3 clawed limbs. The cache contains an amulet and a miraculously preserved diary. There are a few planets with adamantine and phlogiston that you left because they were 2. It might be good to grab them if you notice, because you have extra diggers. They seem to be the rares. Yeah, if I reach a point where I'm desperately in need of phlogiston, maybe I will. But I don't think there's any missions I'm unable to handle. Yeah, 2016, the first project was Kingmaker. Yep. They started out, I don't even know how, they started out as a Kickstarter project on Kingmaker, and I don't know how they got into that point. Like, did they contact Paizo and say, hey, we're a team that's never made a game before, but we really want to try? Do we have your blessing to give it a shot and make a Kickstarter? I don't know. But they got the go-ahead, made the game, and yeah, it was buggy at the start, but eventually became a pretty solid game. And then they've just continued on with Pathfinder Wrath of the Righteous and now Rogue Trader, and are now working on Dark Heresy. They're just doing a great job on all of them. So Amulet of the Ravenous Star requires Dogmatic. No, must not have Dogmatic, I see. If the first round of combat, the wearer's MP is doubled. Meh. Relay the contents of the diary to the flagship. The diary was kept by one of the missionaries of the Genestealer cult. According to the entries, this cult secretly spread throughout much of the Calixtus sector, although the author does not mention any specific infected worlds. He recalls with reverence the promised land, the cradle of faith, salty as the tears of righteous martyrs. The author's branch of the cult had settled on Port Wander Station. the last threshold between the Calixtus sector and the Koronus Expanse. You think Total War has really helped with interest in Warhammer in general? Yeah, but the Total War games are based on Warhammer Fantasy, which is related but different. I would love to see a Warhammer 40k Total War and see what they can make of that, because I'm far more interested in the 40k universe than Warhammer Fantasy. The cult grew and gained followers among the workers and the poor, and even managed to infiltrate powerful trade guilds. However, their plans fell apart when the Genestealers' kiss was granted to an unworthy candidate. This oversight led to the discovery of the cult and a bloody purge. The author of the diary recalls with horror and sorrow how many of the pureblood children of the Star Savior perished in the massacre. The story ends by chronicling the escape of a small group of heretics who managed to save 3 purebreds and steal a merchant ship under heavy fire from the station. They narrowly navigated the Maw, but the ship's damage was too severe. 3 phalanges of the Finger of Sorrow, the pureblood Star Children, fell into a long sleep and became dormant. Meanwhile, the cultists humbly watched the ship's life support systems fade away one after another. In the last lines, the author welcomes death in the name of the many-armed emperor with solemnity and elation. So this is talking about something that happened in the Calixtus sector where the Genestealers were noticed and had to escape quickly. And I'm guessing that's relating to some sort of canonical lore of some novel that I haven't read. But there's people who probably know exactly what event this is referring to, but I don't think it's something defined in the game at all. I think that's something defined elsewhere. Alright, with all that out of the way, let's destroy the ship. We've gotten the information. The Enforcers plant melta charges at key points on the vessel, and the explosion rips the Finger of Sorrow into pieces that are obliterated by strikes from the macro cannons. Okay. Now let's head to Footfall. Unless something else shows up to interrupt us. Although I was talking about making a shortcut from here with Xenos down to Footfall so that it's also part of our safe network. Only good at early and heresy lore? Okay. I wouldn't call myself any way of an expert on any sort of lore, but I know a little bit about a little bit, and that works well enough for me. I get enough out of the game with what lore I know that I'm happy. But it would be nice to know more, and so I'm always on the lookout for people who do know more lore where they can point out cool things that I might have missed. During the period designated as the night shift, the air in the ship suddenly turned stale. Yeah, we've read this a bunch of times. Abelard is now the one who's having an incident. So let's go down here to Furibundus. We will make a new route and then make it safe. And that means we can now get from Footfall all the way through our network up here to Dargonus, which connects to Vivos, or to Kiabagama, which is great. Druse's Blessing. Have we been there? I'm sure we have, but I don't remember. Familiar voice cuts through the hissing Vox channel. Greetings, what can I do for you? Oh, right. This is the Navy trade group. I would like to look at a catalog of components available for purchase. Yeah, this is the Imperial Navy. If I wanted a better Auspex... I mean, let's look at some of this stuff. Adamantine plating protects the vessel from harm, negating 9 points of damage on each side. That is worse than what I have right now. No. Currently I have 9 from the 4 and 5 on other sides. Got it. That's 9 everywhere. 15 speed along with low acceleration and braking. That doesn't feel as good. 190 points of protection for each sector. That's good. That's a new improved Auspex. 98% hit chance is amazing. And just giving us 400 scrap. Oh, this one I already have available. 12 points of damage to the port and starboard, 5 on the fore and aft. That is just an improvement. $91 to $105. That's also just an improvement. Okay. I should really look at some of this, but also I should look at trading with you, because if I can get up another level, I get the Auspex. If I can get up 2 levels, up to 12, I get an improved mortar and shields. I don't think I care about either of these. Yeah, so let's try and get up to 12, if possible. You want... Dari trophies. And Drukhari trophies. I don't think anyone else is wanting these. So I can definitely give you all of them. Wow, I have a ton of Drukhari trophies. Oh, now we're on Void Heretic trophies. I think Void Heretic trophies are wanted by other groups. So let's give those and see where that puts us. That puts us at 12. Perfect. Who was the Mechanicus trader? I forget his name, but he's on Footfall, I think. So let's grab the scrap container. Might as well. That'll immediately give us 400 scrap. Get the better Auspex. Grab you. And you. $13 speed. No. We'll see how these fighters compare to the fighters we have. Wow, I'm getting a tutorial? That's been a while. You fill your flagship's arsenals with various ammunition that enhances the capabilities of your flagship's weapons. If your arsenal have fighters or bomber decks, your torpedo tubes can launch Fury interceptors or Starhawk bombers instead of regular torpedoes. For several rounds, you'll be able to directly control these special units. Attack craft have limited amount of fuel. When empty, they no longer can be controlled directly and return to your flagship automatically. Yeah, we know that. We've used them a lot. gonna grab this other aspect. Surely one of the aspects that we can grab is the one we need for that quest. But as it stands, I want the better aspects, the 98% chance. Then how do you compare to these other fighters? Because it's not showing. It says 4 attack craft each equipped with a heavy laser turret versus 4 attack craft, each of them equipped with a heavy laser turret. I see no difference, but these are gold. So, sure. Better shields. Better dorsal cannon. And I think that's good. Yeah. 500 scrap, we can level up our RAM again. Can we go here? Last time we tried to talk to them, they said that they didn't want anyone not of the Mechanicus here. Refusing access to guests. Why do you exist? The entire game, they have not allowed us entry, and so it's like, why would the game put in people, like an area we can't actually explore? I don't know. Let's go to the atrium. Do we bring Solomon or do we put someone else in? Oh, we're going to see the Inquisitor. We'll take Heinrichs, of course. Might be able to do the difficult ship battle with the upgrades. That's true. I know last time it felt like we were severely under-equipped, but now we might be more able to handle it. All right, Heinrichs, let's level you up.
A lot of innocent people. I've yet to see someone remain so after an interrogation.
I haven't marked anything for you. All right. What's your dodge looking like these days? Not amazing. So probably not critical velocity. Crushing assault's good. Don't care about aim. Death dealer's fine. This one's not bad because he needs to use a lot of action points to get all of his abilities up on that first turn. That's not bad. Peak condition is always great for any strength-based character. More healing. How much deflection do you have? None. Probably not, then. That seems good enough. Let's boost your strength by 22. No, it's already showing a +5, so I guess you're boosting your strength by 17 still. That's not nothing. That's definitely tempting. I think charge, though. Getting a longer charge is going to be good. Alright. What do we do here? Not necessarily allies affected by the Vanguard's Vanguard abilities, but just any of his abilities, because he has some big abilities that affect the group as a whole, like some of his psychic abilities. That feels really good. I don't know how easy it is to make yourself a priority target. Because there's very few things that cause that. Alright, we'll go with that. Sure. Taunting, hopefully we make him priority target more often. Psykers and Krause are your primary two. I guess now Lord Xenos. That way we can pretend that you at least know something about Xenos. Looked at all those, none of them are good. Could boost some of your skills, I could boost some of your characteristics, which is definitely tempting. I haven't given you combat mastery yet. That's surprising. Or dueling mastery. Boost your parry. Heavy armor proficiency is another thing that would be a reasonable choice. Because you don't have a ton of dodge or agility, so putting you in better armor would make sense. I still don't think we found any power armor in the entire game, which strikes me as really odd. We'll raise your parry. Alright, I can't boost your willpower or weapon skill, so let's boost your strength. There we go. You're now leveled up. It's not you who's the traitor. I want to say the traitor that we're looking for the explorators is Omicron something or other. Or maybe it is. Who are you? Identification request accepted. Acceptable response found. Here in Heed, this unit's identifier is Trade Terminal Zeta 42/33 mu. Designated purpose, processing trade and information requests and offers made to the Adeptus Mechanicus Explorator Cognizance Fleet. State your request. Glory to the Omnissiah. Where's Opticon 22? Information request accepted. Acceptable response found. Here in Heed, the unit Logis Opticon 22 was instructed to leave the location Footfall and head for the strategic location of Euphrates II in order to provide support to the Explorer Cognizant Fleet. After standard rites were performed on Trade Terminal Zeta 42/33 mu, it was deemed an adequate functional replacement and received the blessing to process requests at location Footfall. State your request. Glory to the Omnissiah. Why do you keep saying glory to the Omnissiah? I can't show my data slate. Information request declined. Acceptable response not found within for the following reasons. Here in Heed, request falls outside processing trade and information requests and offers functionality. Try restating your request. Without missing a beat, the tech priest adds confidently, glory to the Omnissiah. Alright. Let's see your trade interface. So we'll sort you by cost. You want holy gifts. I don't want to give you all of them because I think the Drusians also like them. I'll give you some heretic trophies. And ship components. We're starting to get down in value. But that's fine. We're up to rank 22. That might have been a bit much. No, you go all the way up to 38. It's fine. I think there was something that needed me to get to like reputation 60,000 with them or something. Something really high up there. Okay, we have absurd amounts of armor kits. Ranged weapons, provisions, fuel. Alright, let's... Even though they're not worth a ton, we have a ton of them. And no one else seems to want them anymore. So... if I'm trying to get to 60,000, that means I need 18,000 more. That's going to take a while with armor kits. The fact that I have enough armor kits to get up to 12,000 and more is a little crazy. I had 13,000 just in armor kits. What about ranged weaponry? You're right, 60,000 for one of the building constructions. Okay, cool. Trying to remember what it was I needed, but obviously my memory isn't perfect. I guess I need to go actually above 18,000. Just a little bit. We'll get there, though. We've got plenty of armor kits and ranged weapons. That... nope, still not enough. There. That's more than enough. 60,000. Alright, what does that get us access to now? Combat Manipulator, whenever the wearer uses a non-attacking consumable item. No, we don't use that. Chance to hit targets at a range of 10 or further by 20%. A power axe. Gain momentum, they also gain an equal amount of temporary wounds. Wow, that is way better armor than what I'm wearing right now. Why is my armor so terrible? Oh, I haven't put on this armor yet, which I was planning to. Might as well grab this in case anyone else could use it. Sometimes blessed or cursed with a good memory, if only. Aware of the Overseer. Their first Overseer archetype ability around costs 0. Wearer gains an additional 1 action point for each consecutive turn that the wearer has not moved. I mean, it seems like a decent weapon. %30 chance to gain another attack action after a kill. I'll grab that. Now I've got to figure out where we were. Here we go. You're close to the Drusian trader as well, right? Yes. %70 armor penetration. Wow. Heavy armor. Fancy shotgun. Not sure how that compares, but it seems pretty good. So we'll grab it. Take the med kits. Always great. Try that world with the Mechanicus after this. It might have changed with the reputation increase. It's possible. Plus 20 tech use, plus 20 logic. And we can reroll failed tech use or logic tests once per test. That could be good for Pascal. Oh, this is way better of a force sword. Yeah. Let's see. Don't need the grenades. Mars pattern power axe. That might be better than what we gave Pascal. So we'll grab that. I wish it didn't keep scrolling back to the top every time I bought something. Minor grievance, but it is slightly annoying. Boots to give a parry bonus. Could be good for any of our melee characters. Ooh, a pyromancy staff. Let's see how that compares to us. Get UT to 80,000. Who knows what the requirement is? Forge World Army, Skutari Ranger Armor. It's medium. Meh. Ancient Plasma Rifle. Power Armor. There we go. Oh, it's Astartes armor only. What's the point of power armor proficiency if only Astartes... Like, the only power armor in the game seems to be Astartes. Well, I don't think I'm going to push the Explorators up to 80,000, at least right now. We're running low on things to trade them. I can grab this for whenever I get around to our Astartes again. Maybe it's better. On every comment I like to leave a word that's not supposed to be there. Fun game. It does make it more interesting to try and figure out exactly what you're trying to say. So if we look at ourselves... No, because we have medium armor proficiency. But you have terrible armor, so this is an improvement. Boots to give parry versus... Yeah, that's just better. That'll be for Pascal. The shotgun is for someone who's not here yet. What about the power axe? It is a little bit worse damage-wise, but the 10 bleeding, I think, is better. Then let's compare this to what we're using. Yeah, the solar staff is way better for just basic damage. It's a higher level, so it'll give a better Inferno if I ever decide to use that. For every 2 creatures suffering from burning in combat, power level of the staff is increased by 1 and the willpower bonus increased by +2. I leave lots of people burning. So, yeah. Also, did I not have my staff out this whole time? Have I been using my gun for whatever reason? Okay, Dark Providence is better there. How's this? Oh, you can't use it because it's not Drakari. Alright. I think that's a general upgrade of all of our stuff.
I won't tolerate weakness.
So... Right, you guys are just burning everything. Koronus. Koronus' gaze is alight with awe. He breathes in the smell of burnt flesh and promethium and says to you, "Behold, noble Ignatius, as footfall transforms before your very eyes. In the wake of your toils, this den of depravity will once again become a testament to the Emperor's greatness, as was its original design. Does it bring you delight?" We can give him a diary of the captain of the Wasteland Wayfarer. Your expedition perished. Found the inscription in the ruined abode of Jesavon. Yeah, your expedition perished. He studies the diary for a while in silence, then says grimly, "Captain Verkil was a kind but fallible man. So was my brother in service, Gravik. So were millions of pilgrims who boarded the Wasteland Wayfarer many years ago." I don't remember any of that, but glad I was able to help you, I suppose. It grieves me that their kindness failed the test that the Void presented them with. Let their deaths serve as a reminder to us. Corruption has many faces and can stain even the purest of souls. Thank you for the news, Lord Captain. Colony AIII 649 Minoris is hereby officially declared fallen and lost. And I found this scripture in the ruined abode of Jesavon. What is it? A martyr's work from a lost colony? No, Reverend. It's a blasphemous text, the product of the mind of a heretic and an apostate who betrayed humankind. One should know the face of one's enemy. Fascinating interpretation of his word. It is certain to be an interesting read. You might even learn from it. No. Dogmatic. It's blasphemous text. Koronus nods grimly. Your vigilance is great. We will steel our hearts against this new breed of heresy that has pressed into these unclean pages. What do you think of the justice I served, Reverend? The Legion and his accomplices found the retribution they deserved. My heart rejoices at the thought of the justice delivered, yet it grieves me that Vladimir could not find it in himself to follow the path of repentance. With his intellect and resolve, he could have become a worthy servant of the Emperor, if only he had applied his talents. Well, let's see what the followers of the St. Drusus have to offer me. So he's up at 15 with 46,000. If I need to get you also to 60,000-ish, so I need 14,000. We'll give you a bunch of holy gifts as well, some jewelry. Uniform kits. Don't think I'm going to pull off the 15,000. Yeah, now we're down to the things that aren't worth a ton. Bunch of provisions. Now, if I need 14,000, we're going to get there. Looks like. Just slowly. Alright. Perfect. I got him up to 60,000. I'll take all of your med kits, because we can never have enough. All of your large med kits, same reason. Multi-keys. Excruciator Maul. No, not that impressive. Militant Cloak. Heavy Bolter. Cloak of Hatred. No, none of these are striking me as terribly exciting. An additional 45 warp damage with their melee attacks? What? We'll take that. See how that looks on Heinrich's, because the numbers are probably far worse. That looks like a pretty good power maul. We'll see how that compares to what we gave Pascal. More med kits. Another power weapon that might be better. Wow. Spend their movement points to move to any cell within movement range without provoking attacks of opportunity, and then immediately perform a melee attack against all adjacent enemies. That is incredible. And that looks incredible as well. Cannot fail any willpower or toughness tests in combat. Yes, please. How does that compare to the other power sword we grabbed? No, I was looking at force weapons. Power weapons. 30 to 50. I mean, it's a lot less armor penetration, but a lot more damage. And if you're far enough in dogmatic, ignore the dodge, deflection, and armor of xenos, demons, and psykers. Whoa. It's the diary from the Inquisitor base that was corrupted from Heinrich's questline. Okay. I vaguely recall that. Don't need you. Sanctic, no. Hey, our first power armor. We've got a couple of people trained in power armor. We can see how that compares. Okay. So now if we look at everything we grabbed. 45 warp damage for us, only 20 for you, but still. I think that's solidly good. So this is good for either or any of our melee characters. Abelard, what do you have? I mean, those are fine. We'll give it to you, Heinrichs. Power armor. You are trained. More armor, more deflection. More of a dodge penalty, which isn't great. Actually, what you've got on right now gives +3 deflection, which is still less, I guess. And +20 strength for using this. Yeah. Overall, it's just an upgrade. And it doesn't look as stupid. The medium armor. We'll take that. Yep, this looks like it's just an upgrade. Those are all power weapons. Yeah. What is your... Because I know you're dogmatic. How far in are you? You're only up to adherent. Follower and adherent. Is that the case of everyone? That they don't ever get higher than rank 2? Huh. Interesting. So, as a adherent, you just get the ignoring dodge. Can I use that? If we just assume I'm never going to need a gun because I can shoot things just fine. There's probably... No, because my weapon skill is so terrible, I'm never going to actually use it. Granted, I'm never going to use that gun either. But I could. We lose the penetration, but it does get rid of their dodge in your hands. But just for Xenos, demons, and psykers. One you've got equipped now already ignores deflection. Yeah, I think as amazing as this sounds, it only gets its benefit in the hands of a dogmatic primary character. And we just aren't a sword character, unfortunately. see if she's still
A
around.
new challenge for me.
Yeah, Incendia, let's talk to you. Are you slightly less crazy than you were before? Incendia looks up from her parchment and inquires tensely, "What brings you to me, Ignatius?" "Your senses have deprived me of several suppliers of valuable equipment." Draw your weapon. I'm not going to draw my weapon. "Your sentences have deprived me of several suppliers of valuable equipment. As for that pirate Riza, there's no need for you to mourn her. Yes, she did come across valuable prizes at times, but more often than not, those prizes were tainted. Surely some other rat from her crew has already taken over her profane trade at the Amass and will be open for business, until I hang the lot of them, that is." Okay.
None shall stand in my way.
By order of the Lord of the Inquisitor, Holy Order of Xenos, the Legion's Palace is presently closed to outsiders. Actually, we have been asked to come visit. However, I think we will save the visit with the Inquisitor for next time. I think this is a great place to stop. So yeah, next time we will finally continue on with whatever happens next when we meet with the Inquisitor. Thank you all for being here, and I will see you guys then. Bye.